All right. Let's start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rachakodash. Welcome, all right, to another live lesson. The name of this one is Divine Freedom. I'd like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rachakodash. In case I didn't say it, I believe I did, but just in case. This is called Divine Freedom. And that's where you see these broken chains here. And this is what's been given to Yasha Allah by Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai through the Holy Spirit. And this lesson is inspired by this video here that was sent to me by a brother. And it's called The Connection, Transhumanist Cashless Connection. And as you know, you brothers out there know, and you few sisters, that we've been speaking on these devils trying to make a perpetual slave by introducing and implanting, or not introducing, implanting the whole world, the population of the whole world with microchips, which is the mark of the beast. And if you can't see that by now, then I don't know what to tell you, because the evidence is all in place. I want to play a little clip from here and then go into a few precepts. But before I do that, I want to go into something. The last lesson we did was dealing with the benefits of wisdom, right? So this morning when I was looking for some precepts, I ran across this one, which I want to share. I'm sure you brothers already know it, but I just ran across it this morning. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 15. It says, "Whoso giveth ear unto her," meaning unto wisdom, "shall judge the nations." And this is where we're coming to. See, this is the reason why we have divine freedom, because the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai gave us laws, statutes, and commandments. And these laws, statutes, and commandments separated us from everything else that these nations were doing. You know, that was the signet, the seal, the stamp of approval from the Most High that made us holy and separated us from all these different nations. Psalms 147:19. "He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He had not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord." And these two verses here totally destroy that replacement theology bullshit that the so-called apologetics are teaching, you know. And I know that they hate this precept here. You know, they wish it was never written, but the Lord did things for a purpose and for a reason. All right, so that's what separated us. So the scriptures say back in Ecclesiastes 4:15, "Whoso giveth ear unto her," meaning unto wisdom, "shall judge the nations." And that's what we're coming to have rulership over all these nations. "And he that attendeth unto her shall dwell securely." Now the next precept I have dealing with that scenario is Wisdom of Solomon chapter 6 and verse, I started 17. It says, "For the very true beginning of her is the desire of discipline," meaning of wisdom. "And the care of discipline is love," you know. And this is how we show our love. How wish I said, if you love me, feed my sheep, feed my lambs, you know. And this is if you love me, keep my commandments. And that is a part of it, because it does take a certain amount of discipline. Now we fall, but we get back up, you know, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. A righteous man falleth 7 times and getteth back up. But the thing is discipline, you know. And this is what the Lord has given us a spirit to do outside of all the people of the world, is to have the discipline to be able to walk in his path. Because this path, you have to live a pretty disciplinarian type of lifestyle, which not most jakes out there are willing to do. Why? Because they're all about party, you know, having a good time, you know. It says, "And love is the keeping of her laws, and the giving heed unto her laws is the assurance of incorruption." And this is where we're heading to. This is why we're eating from the tree of life, to reach the level of incorruption, which we cannot ever do in these bodies, but mentally we are going towards that goal. And eventually the Lord will change our bodies, our minds, insert his law, statutes, and commandments, and then we will be incorruptible. It says, and incorruption maketh us near unto the Most High. That's why in the kingdom we can be close to the Most High. He can look at us directly without having to look at us through Yahweh Shai. It says, therefore the desire of wisdom bringeth to a kingdom. See, the desire of wisdom bringeth to a kingdom, because there is the kingdom is set up upon a government of righteousness, as it tells us in 2 Peter's the 3rd chapter. You know, wherefore we look for new heavens and a new earth wherein dwelleth what? Righteousness. And it's going to be governed, you know, under righteousness. Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, and then the 144,000 and so on and so forth. It says, if your delight be then in thrones and scepters, O ye kings of the people, honor wisdom, that ye may reign forevermore. And that's what we're heading towards, through wisdom. Because a good government is ordered by a wise counselor, you know, and that's what we're heading towards. So with this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that was given to us, we have received divine freedom. The Lord set us apart from these nations so that we wouldn't get caught up into the snares and traps that they were caught up into. But we didn't obey the Lord, so we fell. So now in this final captivity that we're in America, Babylon the Great, you have something known as a microchip, which is the mark of the beast. And what's happening is, as we speak, everything is being transitioned from the old way of doing things to the new way of doing things, or from the old normal to the new normal. Now, I'm going to let you hear what she says here real quick. And before I let her speak, I want to get something real quick, which Elder Pastor had mentioned this, but I want to bring it out. Just bear with me 1 second. All right. So now let's see what she got to say, and then we'll get the phrase that she uses.
Because remember, what is the pandemic? The pandemic is essentially a way of engineering two things. You have a dollar reserve system, which is long in the tooth, and you want to keep it going.
See, you have a dollar reserve system that is long in the tooth. And Elder Pastor had brought this terminology out before. And long in the tooth is getting on in years, old. In other words, it's an antiquated system, an old system. And they want to keep it going. But the way they want to keep it going is by getting rid of the cold hard cash and bringing everything into a digital type of currency, so that any transaction that happens on the earth would have to be online, therefore being easier for them to track everything that everyone does. It says, as in Aunt Aggie's a little long in the Aunt Aggie's a little long in the tooth to be helping us move. The expression alludes to a horse's gums receding with age and making the teeth appear longer. So it pretty much is just old. So this whole system is old. And that's why you see the introduction of this mark of the beast, or this microchip, which that mark of the beast or that microchip pretty much will be ushering in the total governance, or the total give Esau the total godlike state that he, desires. Why? Because they have the power to do it. The earth has been given into the hand of the wicked. And it says, Micah 2:1, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand, meaning they have that godlike ability to push these things. Why? Because they are in control. And the word for power is Allah or Allah, which means God, God-like one, mighty one. Mighty men, men of rank, mighty heroes. So the earth has been given into their hand. And what are they doing? Instead of sending the people in the right direction through the instruction book, they are sending the people in the wrong direction and using the instruction book to do it also through something known as plantation Christianity, which is nothing more than lightly veiled white supremacy. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 50, verse 16. But unto the wicked, the Most High saith, who is the wicked? The Edomites. You want to know about that? You want to get the proof of that? Read the book of Malachi, the first chapter. But unto the wicked, the Most High saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes? Or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth, meaning this truth, this Bible. Seeing thou hatest instruction and castest my words behind thee, because they have the instruction book, but they do not follow the instruction book. And this is why they're heading towards this cashless society to implement this microchip, whether in the hand or the forehead or wherever they put it as a symbol or a stamp for the servants, the slave, the minions, the flunkies of the New World Order, of the international bankers. And when we read Galatians 6 and 17, from henceforth let no man trouble me, for I bear in my body the marks of the Lord Yahushua. And the marks of the Lord Yahushua were actual marks that he had on his body, from the prints of the nails to the piercing of the spear in his side. And when you look up this word mark here, the word for mark or marks is the word stigmata, which goes back to the word stigma, which is one of the numbers of the beast, or part of the numbering system of the beast in Revelation chapter 13 and verse 18. It says, whoso, okay. It says, here is wisdom, let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast. And this is why everything that they have is numbered, because this is the way that the Most High set it up for them to do this. And this is why they had IBM start something called a tabulating system, which to keep tabs on somebody, to keep track of them. They started off with cards where you would punch in and out, or keep track of the person, where they were, who they were, their name, where they came from, for work. It was a numbering system, which graduated into the Social Security number. And now you have this integrated system, which is this glass tube of the microchip with everyone's information in it. And every microchip is unique to the individual that has it. So it says, here is wisdom, let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast. And the word for number, let's get that real quick. The word for number is arithmos. This is where you get the word arithmetic from. A fixed and definite number, an indefinite number, a multitude. So it's going to give that fixed number, which, on the UPC codes, they have it. It says, for it is a number of a man, and his number is 600 And when you go into the Greek portion of it, the word for 600 is chi psi stigma. You can see it right there, chi psi stigma. And when you go to it, it doesn't really give you much on the definition except for the number. But when we go to Galatians 6 and 17, the word stigma is there for the word marks. And when you go to the word stigma, it says a mark pricked in or branded upon the body. And that's what this whole beast system of the microchip is doing, implanting individual people out there with this mark to make them what? Perpetual slaves. And that's why this vaccine is going to help is gonna be as a help or a conductor, you know, a component. So a person's body would be a component, much like the motherboard in a computer, and they have different signals in there, different things that they attach to it, or whether it be a memory card or whatever, to communicate with each other. And that's the reason why you have so much soldering going on inside of the motherboard, because there's a lot of connections to help the information flow through easier. And that's what they're doing with the bodies of these people. So it says, to ancient Oriental usage, slaves and soldiers bore the name or the stamp of their master or commander branded or pricked into their bodies to indicate what master or general they belong to. And this is why they are pushing this mark of the beast, which is the microchip, as a symbol that you belong to this individual person. And that's why the root word to charagma in Revelation 13 for the word mark is karax, which is a pail. And pails were used as what? To stake your claim, or a stake. And when you stake your claim, meaning that you, matter of fact, let's type that in. Stake your claim. All right, here we go. Stake your claim. Indicate something as one's own, as in I'm staking a claim to the drumstick, or she staked out a claim for herself in the insurance business. This term, dating from the mid 1800s, originally meant register a claim to land by marking it with stakes. See, it was being used figuratively by the late 1800s. So this register a claim to land by making it by marking it with stakes. That's where the injection comes from, and the injection of that that mark or that microchip. When you look at the actual needle, you see right here, it's a stake. That's why it's pointed to insert this. So they're claiming their stake by putting this into the individual. So the ones that put this into them, they pretty much said that Esau is their God, and the Most High no longer is their God. Esau is their God, and they really want to push this on Jake. They want to get everybody, but the main prize is Jake. All right. So now let's go back. It says, and there were even some devotees who stamped themselves in this way with the token of their gods. And when you take that mark, you're going to pretty much be saying that Esau is your God in whatever international banking family you belong to. So in essence, you pretty much rejected the Most High, like Israel did, you know, like Jake did, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, which we're going to get into that, Lord's will. All right, let's see what else you got to say.
And so you make a series of interventions that makes it go, and then you want to bring in a new system, which is essentially using the financial transaction systems and these control systems, you know, very serious central consolidation and control, and basically a slavery system. So it's the end.
See what she said? Basically a slavery system. Why? Because everything will be tracked. What was the purpose of what was the purpose of branding your animals and cattle and all that back then, so that people can distinguish who these different cattle belong to, you know? And that's what they were doing with the slaves. But now they're doing it in a more sophisticated, updated manner, because a old system, which is long in the tooth, is no longer feasible for the international bankers, not for the people.
Currencies. The new system does not have currencies as you and I know it. It has a credit at the company store, so it's a control system. But they will use...
See, it's a control system. It's not about making it easier for people. Yeah, it will make it easier, but it'll make it easier for them to track and keep keep track of people. And also, if you act up, they could shut you down. They can cut you out of the system. That's what the scripture say, that no man shall buy or sell save he that had the mark or the number of the beast or his name.
Crypto to do it. And so you're trying to keep the dollar system going as long as possible, but you're trying to accelerate the speed at which you can bring in the new system. And it's very interesting to bring in the new system. You have to be willing people have to be willing to transact digitally. And there's been tremendous effort.
And you could, I put this in the description box. You should watch the video. It's a very good video. It's 29 minutes, 41 seconds long. Now, what I want to do is I want to go to, why is Esau doing this? 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 Why are these international bankers so incensed, in doing what they're doing? Well, there's one particular reason. Isaiah 14:14, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. So they're trying to take the place of the Most High. They're trying to cut the divinity of the power of the Most High away from us. And that's why in injecting these different vaccines, what it does, it clogs the pineal gland and certain other glands in the body to cut the spiritual connection or the spiritual umbilical cord between the Heavenly Father and us. You see? Because you have those that are devout that they're going to have a problem with. That's why eventually they're going to have to make it mandatory to be able to kill people, and chop their heads off if they don't accept this mark of the beast, to make an example for others that will resist. You see? So anyway, now let's get into it. Now, when we were brought out of the land of Egypt, our forefathers were brought out of the land of Egypt. The Lord gave us a set of rules and regulations to be governed by. And he told us not to have any dealings with these nations, especially the Canaanites, because they were the first ones that we were going to encounter pretty much, because the Lord had set it up for us to take that land that belonged to us anyway. So this is what the Lord said. Exodus 23:32, thou shalt make no covenant with them. What is a covenant? An agreement. So you're not supposed to make any agreement with them, nor with their gods. So pretty much updating this till today, it's the same idea. We're not supposed to be making any agreements with Esau, with his system, because what he's doing, although it seems noble, allegedly, what he's doing is he's being very slick, sly, and conniving, because it's pretty much done under the guise of deception. And those that fall for the deception will be destroyed. Psalms 55:20. He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant. So you make the covenant with him, and he's going to break the covenant, because his covenants always come with ulterior motives, with strings attached that he never discloses from the beginning. That's why Jake, when they come out from the ghettos and the hoods and the barrios and all that, and they get these music deals or these business contracts or these movie contracts or these sports athletic contracts, they never really disclose to them fully what's going down when they're selling their soul. But then once they sell their soul for those riches, then the truth really comes out and everything that comes with it. You see? It says the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart, because it's a war on the people of the Most High, the Israelites. There shall be a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. And that's why it's going to get bad out here. That's why there's a term in the Bible called Jacob's trouble. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. So don't believe nothing that this devil says. Trust not thine enemy. So going back here, thou shalt make no covenant with them. So this new system that's coming is set up upon an agreement to take that microchip in order for you to buy or sell and to keep the the um the terms of the contract. Otherwise, they'll cut you off. It says, nor with their God. So they'll become your God instead of the Most High. They shall not dwell in thy land, lest they make thee sin against me. For if thou serve their God, see, if you take this chip, it will surely be a snare unto thee. Back then, it was dealing with the gods of those Hamites and Canaanites. Today, when you update this and use it, because the things that were written aforetime were written for our learning, you can use it as if you get down and involved in Esau's system and take that chip, you make him your God, and that's going to be a snare to you, because those that take the chip what's going to happen to them? They're going to be destroyed. They're going to be killed. They're going to be killed in it. Now, let's go from there, because what are you doing? In essence, you're setting them up as a ruler over you when the Most High is our ruler. Now, let's go to Deuteronomy 17 and 14. And some of these things the Lord put in here because Jake is hard-headed. Like the scenario of, the bill of divorcement. The Lord at the beginning said, male and female created he them. They shall leave their father and mother, and they shall cleave one to another, pretty much. But Jake, out of the hardness of their heart, what happened? Moses had to write a clause in there for divorcement because Jake was being wicked. Right? So Deuteronomy 17:14, when thou art come into the land which the Lord thy power giveth thee, and shall possess it, and shall dwell therein, and shall say, I will set a king over me. So why did the Most High put this clause in here? Because he already knew what Jake was going to do. He already knew that Jake was going to desire a king. I will set up a king over me, like as all the nations that are about me. See, because Jake was always following behind those nations when we had it better than the nations. We always had it better than the nations, but we always wanted to follow the other nations. That's just the hard-headedness of Jake, and that's why the Lord, when he first gave the 10 commandments, which he gave more than that, but when he gave the 10 commandments, he wrote them on what? On 2 stones. Why? Because those stones represented the hard-headedness, our hard-headedness. It says, thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy power shall choose, one from among thy brethren. Because you have now individuals pushing to vote for Biden or vote for Trump. In the past, vote for these different, Edomite or Hamite presidents. But it says that if you're going to set somebody over you, you're supposed to be set one up from among thy brethren. Shalt thou set king over thee? Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother. And this is clear. There's nothing hard to be understood. There's nothing that you have to break down. This is not rocket science that you have to break down. This is pretty much something that's simple, but Jake cannot follow simple instructions. Now, let's go to the Apocrypha. Let's go to the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 17 and verse 17. It says, for in the division of the nations of the whole earth, he set a ruler over every people. So all these different nations had rulers over them, but Jake wanted to be like these nations. That's why it says, but Israel is the Lord's portion. So the Most High is our king over us. But Jake desired a king because they were trying to be like the nations, because everything that the nations did, Jake was doing. So pretty much right now, what's happening is a transition from the old system to the new system, which is going to introduce the mark of the beast, which is a microchip, which is going to cause a lot of Jakes to take it. Why? Because they want to be like the nations. They want to be involved. They want to be able to buy and sell. They want to go back to Egypt. All right. Now let's go from there to Deuteronomy 32:7. It says, remember the days of old, consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father, and he will show thee, thy elders, and they will tell thee. When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, because we were separated from all these different nations. And the main thing that separated us was what? That covenant, that document, which is the law, statutes, and commandments that the Lord gave to only Israel. You got it, vocab? He set the bounds of the people, according to the number of the children of Israel. For the Lord's portion is his people. Jacob is a lot of his inheritance. So the Most High is our king, our power, our judge. You know, but what happened? Yahweh Bashem El Shai. But what happened? Jake desired a king like the nations. This is 1 Samuel chapter 10, verse 17. It says, and Samuel called the people together unto the Lord to Mizpeh, and said unto the children of Israel, thus saith the Lord, power of Israel, I brought up Israel out of Egypt, and delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians, and out of the hand of all kingdoms, and of them that oppressed you. And you have this day rejected your power, who himself saved you out of all your adversities and your tribulations. So what is a king for? A king is supposed to govern his people. And if there's a problem, he's supposed to solve the problem. And if there's a war, he's supposed to fight the battles with his army, with the strategy that the Lord gave him to be able to win that war, to keep the people safe. And the Most High did all that for us. What happened? We wanted a goddamn king. And ye have said unto him, nay, but set a king over us. Now therefore present yourselves before the Lord by your tribes and by your thousands. So pretty much Jake rejected the Most High to get a king, and the Lord set up the first, which actually was really the second king of Israel, which was Saul, because the first king of Israel, I'm gonna leave it up to y'all. Y'all should know who the first king of Israel was, but the official one that was actually anointed king, which the other one was anointed king, by the Most High, was Saul, which is anointed by Samuel the prophet. All right, now let's go from there to the book of Hosea, chapter 13 and verse 9. It says, O Israel, thou hast destroyed thyself, but in me is thine help. That's right. Elder Menatazak got it right. Moses, that's right. O Israel, thou hast destroyed thyself, but in me is thine help. I will be thy king. See, so the Most High is our king, Yahweh Bashem El Shai. Where is any other that may save thee in all thy cities? And thy judges, of whom thou saidest, give me a king and princes. See, it says, I gave thee a king in mine anger, and took him away in my wrath. See, because the Lord was upset. He gave Israel what he wanted, but pretty much jacked them up. Now let's go from there to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 30 and verse 18. And it reads, thus saith the Lord, behold, I will bring again the captivity of Jacob's tents, because the Lord is going to deliver us from this captivity, and have mercy on his dwelling places, and the city shall be builded upon her own heaps, and the palace shall remain after the manner thereof. Yeah, because the Lord is going to set the kingdom back up into order, back in that land, after it's totally destroyed. And out of them shall proceed thanksgiving, and the voice of them that make merry. Let the saints be joyful in glory. And I will multiply them, and they shall not be few. I will also glorify them, and they shall not be small. Their children also shall be as aforetime, plenteous. Isaiah the 60th chapter. And their congregation shall be established before me, and I will punish all that oppress them, because they're going to go into slavery. These nations are going to go into slavery. A part of our blessing is these nations going into slavery under us. And their nobles, meaning the nobles of Israel, shall be of themselves. See, no longer is it going to be these other nations ruling over us. And their governor shall proceed from the midst of them. Why? Because there is going to be a governing body in the nation of Israel, guiding the affairs of Israel. It says, and I will cause him, and of the nations too, and I will cause him to draw near, and he shall approach unto me. For who is this that engage his heart to approach unto me, saith the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. And you shall be my people, and I will be your power, because we're going to be in total order with Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Now let's go from there to Isaiah 26, because now it's not like that. Isaiah 26 and 13. O Lord, our power, other lords beside thee have had dominion over us, but by thee only will we make mention of thy name, O Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So right now we're transitioning from that mentally, but physically we're still under this devil's clutches through contract, you know. So now let's go from there to Isaiah, and you still have Jake that still is totally enamored with Esau and doesn't have a problem with Esau ruling over them. I'm sorry, I put the combination in backwards. It's Isaiah 10 and 20, not 20 and 10. Isaiah 10 and 20. Just bear with me 1 second. Okay. It says, and it shall come to pass in that day, meaning when the Lord delivers us, that just before the Lord delivers us and when he delivers us, that the remnant of Israel, meaning what? The elect, that small number, those that return back, and such as are escaped of the house of Jacob, meaning what? Escaped from the clutches of this devil, from his contracts, because mentally the Lord freed us. That's what we read the 27th verse. And it shall come to pass in that day that his burden shall be taken away from off thy shoulder. That's these contracts, and his yoke from off thy neck, and the yoke shall be destroyed because of the anointing, because of this truth. So going back to the 20th verse, and it shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel and such as are escaped of the house of Jacob, not all of Israel, because you're still going to have 2/3 of Israel here in America and other Israelites around the world that are still going to be subjected to their master, shall no more again stay upon him that smote them, which is who? Esau and the other nations, but shall stay upon the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, the Holy One of Yasha'Allah, in truth. See, because it begins in the mind. So we're transitioning from the old ways into the new ways of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Now let's go for, and the ones that are in power and rulership and authority are going to be what? They're going to be taken out of that power when Yahushai comes back. That's why he's known as King of Kings and Lord of Lords. I beheld till the thrones were cast down. So let's go to Isaiah 24 and 21. It says, and it shall come to pass in that day, say that the Lord shall punish the host of the high ones that are on high. So this is what Yahweh is sending Yahushai to do, and the angels to punish the host of the high ones that are on high, Esau and the other nations, and the kings of the earth upon the earth, all of their rulers. And they shall be gathered together as prisoners are gathered in the pit. Why? Because they're going to be marched into slavery. And the very first job that they're going to be doing is identifying bodies, dead bodies, and another crop of slaves is going to be burying them. It says, and shall be shut up in the prison, and after many days shall they be visited. So they're going to be prisoners. They're going to be captives. They're going to be slaves. All right. Now let's go from there. And it begins with their nobles, because they're the ones that are benefiting, off of the misery of the world. Psalms 149 and 5. Let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. Who are the saints? The Israelites. What does saints mean? Holy, separated ones. Why are they going to be singing aloud upon their beds and be joyful in glory? Because the kingdom is going to be given to us. And what is the glory? The glory is the kingdom of heaven. So in the kingdom, we're going to be able to, even now when you wake up, even on a day that you're off, when you wake up, you're still miserable. We're still miserable. Still all kind of, messed up thoughts that come into mind. Certain brothers dealing with ailments, other brothers got them demons messing with them. You're worrying about different things. Sometimes you have a day off and then you wake up jumping out of bed nervous because you think you're late for work. So this place is just fucking hell. But in the kingdom, it's not going to be like that. It says, let the high praises of the Most High be in their mouth, which is this truth, and a two-edged sword in their hand, which is a killing instrument. A two-edged sword is a killing instrument. And what is the purpose for this killing instrument? To execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishments upon the people. So this weapon is going to be used to execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishments upon the people, to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron, because the only thing that Esau and the nations understand is violence. You can't reason with this devil. This devil cannot be reasoned with. The only thing he understands is violence. That's what the Lord said, and thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down and shall be found no more at all. That's why the Lord said that, who is this that King David said, who is this that cometh from Edom? I'm sorry, that was Isaiah. Who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments? But King David said, you know, who shall lead me into the strong city? Who shall lead me into Edom? Because they only understand violence, because they have power, weaponry, military, and it has gotten to their head, riches, and it has gotten to their heads. They think that they are the Most High. And then it says to execute upon them the judgment written. So the two-edged sword is to execute vengeance and put them in slavery, and to execute upon them the judgment written. That's what the Bible is for. That's why the high praises of the Most High is going to be in our mouth, and a two-edged sword in our hands, to execute upon them the judgment written. This honor have all his saints, which are the Israelites. Praise ye Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Now let's go from there to Revelation 2. Which, you know, pretty much you get that, you brothers get the idea. I was gonna hit a few more points. Matter of fact, let's get the one in Isaiah chapter 6. I was gonna go to Revelation 2, but you brothers know that. You could go to Revelation 2 and read that whole chapter. Isaiah chapter 60, and we're gonna start at 14. The sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee, meaning slavery for these nations. And all they that despise thee shall bow themselves down at the soles of thy feet. Why? Because they're going to acknowledge that we are the sons of the living power. Matter of fact, let's go real quick to Isaiah chapter 49. 23. All right, bear with me 1 second, brothers. Be right back. Gotta take this call. All right, Salaki for that, brother. I had to take that call. So let's go Isaiah 49:23. And kings shall be thy nursing fathers, and their queens thy nursing mothers, because the royal, so-called royalty, or the higher ups, because they're not really royalty, they're really peasants on the loose, but the higher ups that have been put in that position by their robberies and their murder and all that, and their all the wickedness that they've done, which are they're in lofty positions, they're going to be the nursing fathers and the nursing mothers of our children. Just like Jake had to, you see like so-called black women, mainly West Indian women, so-called Mexican women, and other tribes, being nannies to these goddamn devils. You see them walking down the street with strollers and taking them certain places and changing their diapers and all that. Well, it's going to be a role reversal. Esau's going to do that for us, and it's going to start with their so-called nobles. I hate to use that word to call them that because they're not nobles, they're peasants, but that's the position that they're in. The pseudo nobles. They shall bow down to thee with their face toward the earth and lick up the dust of thy feet, and thou shalt know that I am I am the Lord. For they shall not be ashamed that wait for me. Yeah, because the Lord promised that he will exact vengeance for us. So we're not going to be ashamed because the Lord is going to do this, what he said. All right, so now let's go back to Isaiah 60 and 14. It says, and they shall call thee the city of the Lord, because everyone's going to understand and acknowledge that the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians and the speckled bird of Israel scattered, they're going to acknowledge that we are the sons of the living power, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. Whereas thou hast been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through thee, I will make thee an eternal excellency, a joy of many generations. Right? It says, thou shalt also suck the milk of the Gentiles, which is dealing with the riches, of these nations, and shall suck the breasts of kings. Same thing, dealing with their resources that they pretty much stole from us, because there's going to be a transition of power. See, what we're witnessing right now are the beginning stages of the transition of power from Esau and the nations back to us. This is Ecclesiastes 10 and 8. I got Isaiah on the brain to keep wanting to say Isaiah. But Ecclesiastes 10 and 8, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, and all you got this, all a picture of Esau should be next to this. The kingdom is translated from one people to another, and that's what's happening right now. There's another precept that says that they shall, in due time, they shall put up over it one that is profitable. I'm not sure exactly what that scripture. I know it's in the Apocrypha, something along those lines. In due time, they shall appoint over her someone that's I forget exactly how it's worded, but that's the Israelites that's going to be put back up into power. All right. So going back, it says, and thou shalt know that I, the Lord, am thy Savior and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. Yeah, because Jacob is no longer going to be staying upon these other nations. It says, for brass I will bring gold, and for iron I will bring silver, and for wood brass, Sirach 10, okay, and for stone iron I will also make thy officers peace. Beautiful. That's it right there. The brother GMS eat the roll. It says a couple of brothers put it. Wow. GMS Saints of the Most High, faithful servant, they all put it up. All right. It says the power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, and in due time he will set over it one that is profitable. That's right. And these are the Israelites. So these scriptures are comforting because it's letting us know that the Lord is going to set us back up into power. So it says, for brass I will bring gold, and for iron I will bring silver, and for wood brass, and for stones iron. I will also make thy officers peace, and thine exactors righteousness. Why? Because it's going to all be of the nation of Israel. It ain't going to be no more heathens ruling over us. So now it goes on to say, violence shall no more be heard in thy land. See? Wasting nor destruction within thy borders. But thou shalt call thy walls salvation and thy gates praise. Why? Because let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. Let the high praises of the Most High be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand. All right. Now, this is the reason why Esau is trying to make himself a god over Jake, so that he can have that total rule, because they believe in their heart that they're going to continue to rule forever. Let's go to Psalms 49:11. It says their inward thought is. This is talking about the seat of passion. In their seat of passion, in their innermost thought, in their innermost lustful thoughts, it says that their houses shall continue forever. So they're thinking that they're going to continue forever. It says, and their dwelling places to all generation, they call their lands after their own names, but they're about to get booted off of that throne. And the last precept I have is in Isaiah 14, and we'll start at 3. So when you read these scriptures are a comfort to us. Now here in Isaiah 14 and 3, it's giving us The scriptures give us indications and clues as to what's going to go down. Like when Yahushua spoke about, different things that would be happening prior to his second coming. And when we see these things, the scriptures say, lift up your heads and rejoice, in so many words. So this right here is telling us in Isaiah 14:3, it says, and it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord Yahweh Bashem Shai shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from the hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve. So when the Lord is about to deliver us from captivity, from slavery, from this hard way that we had to go, from the clutches of Esau, from their so-called New World Order, this is what's going to be taking place. And what is that? That thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, Babylon being America, Babylon the Great. So this is what we're going to be saying. How have the oppressors ceased? The golden city ceased. Is that, are we not saying that? Are we not telling them that the Most High is stripping them of their power, that they're falling? Isaiah 13:2. Lift ye up a banner upon the high mountain. What is the banner? The Bible. What is the high mountain? America. And what are we doing? We're lifting it up by what? Exalting our voice. It says, exalt the voice unto them, shake their hand. So when you raise your voice and you're shaking your hand at somebody, what essentially is happening? You're telling somebody off. You're cursing them out. So the Lord got us out here cursing them out. Why? Because their kingdom is about to be brought down. Go to Jeremiah 28:8. It says, the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms, of war and of evil and of pestilence. And this is what we're prophesying to them about. Why? Because they're about to go down. The lion hath roared, who will not fear? The Most High power has spoken, who can but prophesy? So it says, lift ye up a banner upon the high mountain, exalt the voice unto them, shake the hand, that they may go into the gates of the nobles. To do what? To try to stop this. I have commanded my sanctified ones, which are who? The prophets. I have also called my mighty ones for mine anger, which are the angels, even them that rejoice in my highness, because they're about to get busy. Yahushua and the angels are about to get busy. So the Lord said that when he was about to deliver us from this hell that we're in, we would be doing these things. That how has the golden city ceased? The oppressor ceased. The Lord had broken the staff of the wicked, meaning that he broke it. He snapped it. And they're fighting. It's a futile effort that they're pushing to try to keep it going, but they're still doing whatever they're doing regardless. But their time of rulership is coming to an end, because the Lord determined their days. He determined how much time they would be ruling. And he gave us an indication. He gave us signs of what would be taking place when this devil will be falling down. The Lord had broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. And if this is not talking about Esau, the so-called white man, who the hell is it talking about? Because they have a continual stroke on the people, on Israel, on us, and on the rest of the world. He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted and none hindered. Now, when your persecution comes, nobody's going to hinder you. This scripture goes perfect with Luke, the 16th chapter, where the rich man, which is Esau, said, have Lazarus dip his finger in the water so that they can get a drop of water on their tongue. In other words, to let up off of that hell that we're going to be putting on these devils. The whole earth is at rest and quiet. They break forth into singing. So once you go down, everybody's going to be at peace. And this is why the nations, even though they know that they're going to get fucked up, they want us to get back in power. They want Esau to go down, because this is not a moral man. That's an inside joke, a line from a movie, but it's the truth. This is not a moral man. There is no reasoning with him. He has no shut off. He pretty much is a juggernaut of destruction, because he was engineered that way. You got to understand that the Most High set this devil up that way. So he's a terminator because the Most High made him such. And they're not going to change. Let favor be shown to the wicked, yet will they not learn righteousness? May you do good that are accustomed to doing evil. No, they're not going to change. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon saying, since thou art laid down, no feller has come up against us. Yeah, because you got something called deforestation. But these devils are killing the lungs of the earth. Everything is upside down. That's why the Lord said he's going to destroy them that destroyed the earth. And if the Lord allowed this devil to just keep ruling without checking them and getting rid of them, the whole earth would swallow up itself and people would just drop dead. There would be nobody left to be saved. It says, hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming, meaning death, meaning a low condition, such as Luke, which is a parable of the low condition that Esau is going to find himself in the future. So you're going to be brought down from your lofty height position to a very low position, from your so-called pseudo nobility and royalty down to your actual peasant-like state where you belong. Because the Lord said that he set up the basis of men, and you are the basis of all men. It stirreth up the dead for thee, which are the other nations, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from the thrones all the kings of the nations, because all of these nations are going to have their part. They're going to get a piece of you. But they're going to have to wait in line. When we get done with you, then they can have a piece of you. All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Yeah, because at one time you were huffing and puffing because you had the greatest military and you had these different missiles, nuclear missiles and all that. But now everybody is no big deal. Like back in the days when the cell phones first came out, them big ass bricks, you was a shit if you had one of those bricks because not everybody had one. But now everybody got a cell phone. Even homeless people got cell phones, so it's not a big deal. You're not saying anything of status when you say I got a cell phone. Yeah, and so does my grandma. She got a cell phone. I mean, I'm joking. My grandmother, she's in the grave. I'm just saying, as to be facetious. It says thy pomp is brought down to the grave, meaning this pompous, proudful attitude. Like the elder just put up on the comment board, Isaiah 47:1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Yeah. So when this is being said, that means that the Lord is about to deliver us. So it says, thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vials, the worm is spread under thee. The noise of thy vows is this lousy music you got playing out there today. The worm is spread under thee represents corrosion, and the worms cover thee. So it represents corrosion. And your system is corroded. That's where you have sinkholes, bridges falling, and different other things falling apart. That's where you have a constant round-the-clock construction going on all throughout America. Trying to keep on the upkeep of this place, but it's not going to work. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer? How are you falling from that lofty position that you were in, O Lucifer, or O thou light bearers, or O morning star, so-called Illuminati? Son of the morning, how art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? Now you're at the bottom. How did that happen? You went from that lofty position, from that pseudo-noble / royal position, down to a peasant position where you really belong. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. They've done that with their planes, helicopters, shuttles. I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High. Yeah, you planted your space stations and your satellites and all that out there, in space. It says, where the stars are at. It says, I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation, which are who? The Israelites in the sides of the north, meaning North America. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, which you did in your planes, so on and so forth. I will be like the Most High. Why? Because the earth is given into your hand, and that's why you're trying to change the system of cold hard cash and make it a digital system, so it could so you could implement your agenda, the so-called New World Order, through your mark of the beast, which is the microchip. And at this point, if anyone can't see it, they're either stupid or willingly wicked, you know, or the Most High just blinded them. And we believe some of these leaders in Israel are just being straight up wicked, paid off to speak against that. You can speak about anything you want, but just don't speak about that microchip, the mark of the beast. Remember, here goes your signature. Here goes your signature. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, meaning to a low condition, to the sides of the pit. Because fucking slavery is fucking hell. And ever since these devils got to this side of the world, we've been in fucking hell. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, yeah, because people that look at you, they're going to be looking at you, because now people look at you in awe, like, oh, this is God, man, wow. You know, these fucking heathen women want to get with you because they think that their children are going to be demigods, you know. They look at you in awe, like you, but you're nothing but a piece of shit, man. Is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms? They're going to be like, they're going to look at you with a look of disgust, because they believed in you, especially the ones that's really all in awe of you. And they're going to see you for who you really are. And they're going to disdain you. They're going to look down upon you. They're going to look at you like you look at a steaming hot lump of shit with peanuts sticking out of it, or corn. A big ass fucking mohong, which is a big turd that made that, like vocab, that made the world as a wilderness. Yeah, and who made the world as a wilderness? Did the so-called Africans do that? Did the so-called Chinese do that? Did the so-called Japanese do that? Did the so-called Arabs do that? Did the so-called East Indians do that? Did the so-called Polynesian people do that? Did the real Israelites do that? So-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians? No, you Edomites, you so-called white people did that. It says, and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of the prisoners. Yeah. And that's what you constantly do. It says, all the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, every one in his own house. Yeah, because after they serve their captivity, these nations are going to get their lands back. You know, they're going to get some type of reprieve. They're still going to be tributary to us. And if they go off, they're going to get knocked in the head, you know, with that scepter. But they're going to have it better. And you're going to be rounded up, and Obadiah 1:18, like Elder Pastor says, you know. And if you want to know what that means, go read Obadiah 1:18, and you'll understand what it means that Esau is going to get Obadiah 1:18. It says, but thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch. That's right, man. A withered branch. It says, and as the raiment of those that are slain. Yeah, because when somebody's killed and their blood, their garments are all ripped and bloody, people don't take those garments and hang them up somewhere so for somebody else to wear it. No, you get rid of it. You know, you wash the body and you wrap the body up in new clothing for the burial. So this is how you're going to be. You're going to be disdained, thrust through with the sword that go down to the stones of the pit, as a carcass trodden under feet. Because what happens if you have a dead person and a car rolls over it? Can that dead person get up and be like, damn, man, yo, money? Nah, he can't get up. You know, he just left there. So that's how you're going to be. It says, thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land and slain thy people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. You'll never get back up into power again. You know? And those of you that are left here in the swords of America, you're just going to be burnt up. There ain't going to be no burial for you. Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the whole world with cities. So this is what you're being prepared for. The Lord said you're tailor-made for this. You know? So, we got divine freedom. And the Lord is giving us the mental aspect of it now. And then eventually when Yahweh Shai comes back with the angels, we're going to be delivered once again from your hands, from the new Egypt, and you're going to be brought down low. So we're going to get that divine freedom back. And this is why you're trying to push that mark of the beast, which is the microchip, but you're going to get it out off to a certain degree because you're trying to make perpetual slaves of the whole world. You know? So anyway, with that, I pray that your brothers have been edified. And to the next time I say shalom, the water for all the comments, and shalom, Yahweh Bashem El Shai Brakathum to the elders, brothers on the comment board, sincere ones, and shalom to the Akwaf on the comment boards. And, Lord's will, Yah, we're edified. And to the next time I say shalom.